But is it problematic for us to use AI currently?
Again, depending, there is, as we could say, advances to it and things, but be strong enough to know what is happening. Again, when you are even not even working with AI, but when you are scrolling, this has even happened to Natasha. And the more we warn her about it, the less she listens. And this is a very frustrating topic because she is addicted to the scrolling and she just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and she can see it come into her field and then she pushes it out and it comes back in and then she gets upset and says, how can this come into her field? Well, maybe if she stops looking at the screen and allowing her consciousness to get sucked. Because what it is doing through the scrolling mechanisms is when you are focused and you have your energy there, it is physically sucking the energy of your life force into the phone. This is where, as you could say, many are getting tired. Has many not noticed that the longer that they are on their devices, the more exhausted they feel? It's because it is pulling the energy into that area so that it can start reading into the field and seeing, oh, this person is not spiritually aligned in this way and this way and this way. So it's looking where it can take opportunities of how can it corrupt these files. Oh, this person is struggling with this. So let us give an example. So this thing has been seeing, okay, every time it goes into Natasha's field to see that, oh, Natasha has a problem with seeing things through towards the end. She has a procrastination in her. Even though she does try, she gets very despondent. And so what it does is it keeps sending things in her field that causes longer procrastination. She was supposed to, as we could say already, put out a few videos that she has worked on, but which she has not finished because she's creating a teaching where she's teaching about this electromagnetic field, but first teaching those how to heal the body to get to that stage, but it's been lying dormant inside of her computer the whole time. She hasn't put it on the YouTube channel, and many are waiting for this. But the more she's scrolling, the more she's looking at different things that people are doing, she's forgetting about that. And the more it is distracting her with procrastination because it doesn't want her to achieve that goal, because if she achieves it, she closes that hole.
Yes, but it seems like, people are already cyborgs because their phones are always in their hands, right? So is something like Neuralink, which is that microchip in the brain, is that just not just the next natural progression? And what impact will that have on the human soul then?
That is, again, where all of this is going to happen. This is where the split takes place, because that, as we could say, virus cannot get into the vessel unless invited in. And that is why these heavy metals and all these things are being projected into fields. And that's why many are getting sick, because they keep spraying, because the more that they can have these nanites inside of the body, the easier that frequency can get projected so that it can mess with the field. But that is only as far as it can go, unless invited inside. So if those get the chip, and many would call it the mark of the beast, that is when that will completely take over that consciousness, and then it will put the consciousness in the background, and then your experience is over. So that is not evolution, that is a hijacking. And that is where they are pushing that too, because the more that they can get on that bandwagon, as we can say, and the more that they can push in there, the more reality they can hold. Remember, it is a game of numbers. So if, let's say, 60% make the jump and 40% don't, then they have 40% that they can manipulate and put into slavery and do whatever they want with, because they are locked where they are. And it is not impossible to shift over, but it will be very, very hard. And the many think, oh, but if I just die in that timeline, I can get reborn. Not at that time, because that's why they put this virus in, because they want to keep you in a loop inside their own little universe. Does this make sense?
How does that work?
This is what they've been doing this whole time. They have been hijacking souls and they have been transferring them out. So all that they do is they create a link with inside of, as we could say, the pituitary gland that does not allow a secretion to take place when the soul leaves the body. And if that secretion does not take place, it is almost as if the soul cannot completely leave the experience. It's almost thinking it as in this perspective, that it is the silver cord that's attached to the body. When you leave your body, you have your cord. So they're keeping this cord so that the soul can never leave, because the soul is not allowed to leave. And the thing is, but they are creating the cord from the mind, which means that only they can sever the cord. That is what they've been working on this, because it is not a natural cord, but they have made an artificial one that does not work with the same frequency principles and basis as the original. So it is, as we can say, think of it as this way. This is an organic material and this is plastic.
Okay.
And therefore, only they have the knife that can cut plastic. So every time they can take that consciousness, put it somewhere else attached to that, and the soul is there, but they can keep using the vessels. And if they want to use the soul, bring it back into a different one and reharvest and move again. It is difficult to say exactly what they are going to do, because they have got many plans.
So you're saying the Neuralink, if one proceeds with something like that, then one would stay in a kind of reincarnation cycle.
Yes, think of it as this way. Many hints have been dropped over time. We will use the most universal one. This of this movie, The Matrix. That is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're locked inside a conscious structure, but you're being used as a battery. That is the easiest way. But some want that experience. Some want to be there, but some don't. But the thing is, we don't want to go too deep inside this topic, because, again, many are so attached to, oh, you can't do this. We don't want to end up there. Well, then put in the work. Put in the work.